Okay, a little interlude on some of the interactions that I'm lucky enough to experience as we travel about occasionally. Now, let me be very clear, if you're in strife and need help, I'll be the first one to help you. But I'm not interested in being a part of your life or you being a part of mine. And by that I mean prying into my life. But you need help, I'll be there. No problems at all. And I am a chronic people watcher. People seem to be attracted to me for some reason. They feel the need to come and talk to me with no invitation. And I put it down to the fact that I must look like I need their help. Perhaps they think I'm still using a rock as a hammer. I don't know, but I am always besotted with advice from those around me. So I'm not a natural born caravanner, not by any means, and I'll never do it full time. I guess the big fuck that from me. 8 weeks is enough. 12's an outer limit. Always good to get home. But I think we do different things to other people. Well, I know we do. We rarely get the chairs out, hardly ever put the awning out. I more often put the awning out at home to dry it out. It's pretty full on, and I hate using the word explore because other people have done the exploring long before we arrive on site. So we're having a look at what's around. I don't wave. I have analysed the waving patterns, but my wife didn't want to participate anymore. But I'm not a waver, which I understand upsets many people as I get read some things off Facebook, but that's just me. At this point in time I have 0 friends and I'm working very, very, very hard at reducing that number even further. So I'm just not a participant in what is considered normal. Anyway, I just thought I'd have a brief interlude today, and I've got dozens of these stories, and I'll bring you 3 stories today on some of the interactions I've seen or heard or been involved with. And one's a cracker from Brogan Hill on this most recent trip that we've just finished. So the first one goes back to maybe 2019, and we'd arrived at Charlotte Plains, which is there at Cunnamulla. It was quite busy, but we were fine. Me being me, I went as far away as I could to the edge of the campground where there were no people, and we went for a walk along the edge of the board drain, and she was pretty hot up there. There were people everywhere. I noticed this bloke in his black 200 series Land Cruiser reversing into a space that he probably shouldn't have been in. It just wasn't room, but he decided that's where he wanted to be in, and in he went. Now this Land Cruiser looked like he had been in mud and slush all over the country. I didn't think much more of it. When we walked back along the board drain, he was outside the vehicle imposing himself on others around him, which is always interesting. I don't know if he's invited or not. They're often not. And the big comment I heard as we were walking past, I've been down every effing gravel road between here and Cape York. I thought, Jesus, that's interesting. I hope not to run into you. Later on we came back to photograph the sunset across the board drain there, maybe a bit of a reflection or two, and he was harassing, well, if it was me, it'd have been harassment. Someone was in the bath there and he was giving them the benefit of his great expertise on how to drive on corrugated roads. And I thought, oh, please don't come over here. Please don't come over here. And he didn't. I usually like to spend a bit of time with the sunset because it can run through several phases. And a clanger from Nindy Gully, I don't know, I guess 2018, 2019. And again, big campground. And it was about 10 o'clock in the morning and we were on one of those trips where we'd head out to Nindy, have a feed, camp up the night, and then head home, just make sure everything's working before we go somewhere else. So that was probably before we went to the Cape, so 2019. And we were 100 metres from the nearest van. The night before, 10 o'clock in the morning, a lot of vans had already left. It would have been 150, 200 metres from anyone near us. And again, strangely enough, this must be about home, and I had the chairs out, or the chair out. My wife was inside having breakfast. She's not an early starter. And I thought, I'll just fire up the generator. And I could have done this at home too, just make sure it goes, put a bit of charge in the battery. Wife can use the microwave if she wants. And I'll just sit here and read this book. I can't see that it would have bothered anyone. Anyway, I noticed this woman driving around in her Mitsubishi Triton, and she was going van to van right around the campground. And I didn't think a lot of it. In about 10 minutes, she had appeared right beside me, right in my face when she wound the window down. She's right in my face glaring. She very firmly said, "You are a very selfish man." And I just calmly and politely asked, well, what have I done to endear myself in such a fashion to you? And good morning too, by the way. It always helps to be polite. And she said, that effing generator is annoying everybody in the whole campground. Now, I do love it when people use absolutes like everybody and whole and everyone, because I only have to find one, and it's not everybody. Not that I was going to go looking anyway. And I said that. I said, everybody, you've talked to everybody? She said, I've talked to everybody. I said, I haven't talked to my wife. She's inside here, and I'm pretty sure it won't be annoying her. So that declassifies your everybody. She said, you're an effing smartass. Effing smartasses like you should be put away. I said, and who exactly granted you police womanship of the campground? Can you tell me that? She said, you can get effed. I said, yeah, look, no worries. I'm more than happy to do that. I just walked around and turned it off. Not worth arguing. But we were a long, long way from anyone. I've heard much louder generators, much closer to people. As it turned out, she set up her easel about 20 metres in front of me and started painting the Moonee River and trees. I tried to catch her eye, but she didn't really want to do the eye contact thing that particular morning. So the next one I'll tell is the one from Broken Hill. It was the 20th of July, 2024. The morning after the big crowd strike melted down the internet and Microsoft systems around the world. So CrowdStrike offers ransomware, malware and internet security primarily to big businesses, almost exclusively actually to big businesses and large organisations. So about 8.5 million Windows users woke up that morning to, or during the night, depending on what your business was, to the blue screen of death. And if you followed it, there was going to be some difficulty in getting that rectified due to this thing sitting right at the kernel. And it was a problem with an update for their Falcon sensor software, and this update went wrong. And allegedly, apparently, it was pretty much an entry-level mistake, missed the checks and got released to the world, and bada bing, big trouble. Anyway, so morning of the 20th of July, I'm busy outside, taking a hose when I can, hooking up when I can, wife's inside, doing stuff inside, so as bits and pieces happen, I'll roll up that hose, and when she's finished with the water, I'll roll up that hose. Filling the water tanks, that type of thing. We didn't know where we were going. Well, we knew we were going into South Australia. We didn't know where we'd end up camping that next night. And generally, I am very aware of what is going on. Not generally, I'm always very aware of what is going on. It's just part of my persona. But this one caught me a little bit by surprise. We're kind of parked up against close to the rubbish bins there, and I didn't see this lady coming. She popped her head around the back of the van, and she had the towel on the head. She'd just been in the shower and washed her hair, as ladies do. And she had obviously checked my number plate, poked her head around the corner, scared the bejesus out of me. And she said, you're obviously from Queensland. I said, yeah, from Queensland. Always try to answer that first question or two politely, but just trying to give the indication that I don't really want to interact and I don't really want to chat. She said, are you heading back to Queensland today? I said, no, I'm not. She said, well, where are you going? I said, I don't really know. We're heading into South Australia, but have no idea on end destination for the day. She said, well, I hope I can buy petrol today. I said, well, why would that be? And this CrowdStrike thing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy petrol. When I was to walk away, she walked over to one of those camper van things with a Fiat diesel motor, and oh, Jesus Christ, I hope you don't put petrol in it. She said, haven't you heard about the internet shutdown overnight? I said, yeah. I said, but I haven't heard about it affecting fuel stations. There's been some talk about an effect on fuel, but at this stage I haven't heard of any issues. She said, well, what am I going to do? I said, but look, here, I'll give you a bit of a plan so that you don't wander around wasting time, especially mine. I said, there's, 6 or 8 service stations in town. Why don't you just give a couple of them a ring and see if they're pumping fuel, if they're able to pump fuel. I can't see it being a problem. Often, once you give some sort of sensibility to where the argument seems to be heading, they change tack. And she said, the airlines and airports around the world are closing down, I said, well, that's fine. My latest information is that it's all coming back online now, as difficult as it is, and there'll be a bit of a period of fixing stuff up, but whether they've switched to another system or switched to a backup system, don't know. But my information is that it's coming back online. Where would you find that out? I said, I just read extensively, and places like Twitter or X, love it or hate it, it's generally first with the news. It's bang, bang, it's quick. I said, but just give them a ring. Worst come to it, you spend an extra 90, another $40. I've got to get back to Perth. I said, well, you're not going to get there today. But anyway, that's all I know, and if you can't pump it, you can't pump it. There's nothing I can do about it. We're saying things as she walked away, and I didn't quite hear it. And she walked straight to the next guy and started waving her arms about, fuck, there's no hope for some. Let's get the fuck out of here before that happens again. As I say, it seems to happen to me a lot. I'll bring you some updates on more of those as I go. There's quite a few of them that happen to me along the road. And maybe it's me, I don't know. I'm more than happy to take the blame, but I'm just not a people person. We'd filled up the night before after having dinner because it's nothing to do with CrowdStrike. It's easier to not block all driveways and have to worry about your height and all those sorts of things. So just easier to fuel up unhooked if you can. Another one also from this trip, we were down at Coffee Hollow, down at the Menindee Lakes group, or the Menindee Lakes system. Wasn't quite where we wanted to camp. We wanted to camp in the free camping section down along Lake Pamamaru, but we were advised, and it's fine, it's no dramas, we were advised that it was too wet, so we just booked into the Coffee Hollow van park, which was right up against, I can't remember the name of that particular lake, but right up against it. And we were the first ones in for the day, and couldn't have been any closer. Out the door, 5 metres down a bit of a hill, down a bit of an embankment, and there we were, right on the edge of that particular lake. We went for a drive that day, and we actually drove the roads where you would go to the free camps unhooked, and look, they were fine. But anyway, we'd made the decision, and we just have to live with that, have to go back another day. Always wanted to go to the Menindee Lakes system. So the place had filled up during the day. I don't think there were many spots spare, and we probably got back about 5:30, and I thought it might turn into a bit of a sunset. Still, photos is what I do more so than video. My video works very poor. So I even got the chairs out here. We don't get the chairs out very much, and we don't get the awning out very much. In fact, I get the awning out at home to dry it. I might have had it out once in the 8 weeks we were away. I might have had the chairs out twice. But I got the chairs out this particular night and took them down the embankment. Because as I said, I like to sit with the sunset for a while, watch it go through its phases. I'm sitting down there waiting to see if any colour was going to happen, and one of the ladies that had moved in next door to us came to the top of the bank and she said, "Are you setting up for sunset?" When a question is asked with such an obvious answer, I never know what to say. So I just said, yeah, hopefully we'll catch some good pics. She said, "I don't think there'll be a sunset this afternoon." Quite firm. She said, "I think there's too much cloud," and the only thing I could come up with was, well, there's a sunset of some description every day. And I didn't know what to say. So my wife took that conversation away from me, which is good because I'm not a people person and I don't deal with that stuff very well. I don't want to deal with that stuff very well. It's just not me. Anyway, I wouldn't call it a rip snorter, but it turned into not a bad one. So we jagged a few over the next hour or so, and all the folks from the two ladies and two men kept coming down and snapping away off their phones, which is fine. My wife takes some outstanding photos with her phone, sometimes better than I can take with $10,000 worth of gear. But that's due to my lack of creativity, and I get that. Same group next morning, I'm hooking up, and one of the men comes over to me, and he's driving a Isuzu D-Max, pulling maybe a 15-foot MDC camper. I should have remembered they have the number in their name. And he said, "What fuel economy did you get out of that Ford?" I said, "Oh, mate, it's difficult to put a finger on it. And it depends a lot on whether I'm driving in a wind, whether I'm in hilly conditions." I said, "But for 12 weeks in Tasmania last year, I averaged 17.3 towing and 14.7 for the whole trip." Oh, he said, "That's not very good." Whatever, mate. That's what I get. He said, "Well, I get 13 towing." I said, "Yeah, have you been across the Weybridge?" I said, "I reckon you'd be under 5 tonne GCM." He said, No. He said, "That weight wouldn't have anything to do with it." I said, "Oh, weight's got something to do with it." I said, "You're a lot lower than me anyway. We'd be running around 6,200. So, we're nearly a tonne and a half heavier than you." I said, "Oh, I don't think weight and that would have anything to do with it." I said, he said, "Your car's just using too much fuel." So that's the other part I struggle with, is when people come to you with a question and they want to get involved in a conversation with you so that they can take that conversation where they want it to go and end up in a feel-good position on their behalf about them being better than you. It just fascinates me, and this happens a lot. And there'll be a few of those stories as I keep going on this series. So yeah, there's 3 main interactions plus a bonus. Wow, I'm starting to sound like a real proper YouTuber now, aren't I? Here's 3 things plus a bonus, all those things. Anyway, I'll continue this series as I'm looking for things to do and talk about, and hopefully I'm starting to talk a bit better, because we all remember that I'm only doing this because I want to learn to speak a little bit better. it's almost time to bring out the summer hair control device. I did look at my reflection earlier and I am looking a bit rough, just not rough enough yet to maintain that feral number 1 that I'm trying to get up and trademark. Next up, I am going to do something on the Matoa stick shed because I really disagreed with what the guide told us, and in a number of cases he was wrong, and in one I'll challenge. I'm not sure if he's right or wrong, and he might have been right in the 1940s, but I don't believe he's right today. So that'll be a long one and a very serious one. Not too much joking around going on in that, but there's a bit of work in that one, so I'll have to get on with it.